Hello and welcome back to another show of Cuppa Tea with the Vet. And today we have got Katy Slatford joining us. Hi, Katy.
Hi.
She's going to join us for our cup of tea, and we're going to find out loads about her. Katy, would you like to start us off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Katy. I am the senior vet at Castle Vets in Reading. I've been working there since I was about 15, doing work experience, and then gradually went off to vet school, became a vet, went back, and then I've worked my way kind of up to being senior vet. And yeah, I'm doing my certificate in ophthalmology, so I have a kind of a strong interest in eyes, but also just in the general care and surgery of everything we do each day.
Wow, I have to say, that is amazing. I can't believe that you were there as work experience and now you're there as senior lead vet. I mean, that is amazing. And actually, it's a really good thing for the audience to hear because it does prove that you really can work your way up from wherever and get to wherever you want to. And I have to say, I mean, I've got quite a history with Castle because they've actually been very supportive of me. I used to have a clinic there. So we've probably crossed paths. If you've been there that many years, I'm sure we've crossed paths. And it was one thing I really noticed about the practice was how many people stayed there long term and did work their way up, which was really quite impressive. So yeah, and you're now leading that progression, which is absolutely amazing. And you love eyeballs. They
Yeah,
gross me out.
it's weird things I like, but yeah, it's kind of a fascinating thing. There's nothing prettier than looking at the back of a dog's eye, and that's something that many people get to see.
I've heard that said, and I've heard I had a doctor say to me once that they love dealing with eyes because they never age.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a really interesting thing and a beautiful thing to say. And that was his point, was that the iris is beautiful no matter what. And but unfortunately, I can't get the past that sometimes they're hanging out.
Avoid that.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's happened a few times. So I'm just like, no. Eyeballs are definitely not something that if I specialized in anything, that would not be it. But that's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. So tell us a bit more about yourself. What do you like to do in your spare time?
So, well, when I'm not at work, I have 4 horses, so they take up quite a bit of my time. So I play very low goal polo, so low level polo in my spare time, and I paint.
Amazing. I did not know you have 4 horses. That is really busy. I mean, 4 horses and being a vet is insane. And then to add painting on top. Wow. Can you show us something from your painting? Because I have to say, I did have a bit of a Google stalk, and oh wow, it was insane. You're an amazing artist.
So yeah, so it's always been a fun hobby for me and something that has been my downtime and my kind of relaxation time. But yeah, recently I've kind of tried to make it into a bit more than just a hobby. So I think you've probably seen some of my dog portraits, which are not here with me, because the only ones I can show you would be a secret. So the only thing I've got for you is this, which I was working on earlier.
It's beautiful. Absolutely amazing. So, guys, if you're listening and you want your dog's portrait done, this is who you need to speak to.
Yeah.
Katy, I'm so impressed. I mean, it's really nice when I hear about vets who multitask like that because it's really important that you have some downtime and you have something to really, get your head outside of work. And art clearly is a really good, I mean, a well-known thing, isn't it, for stress relief? And did you say that deer behind you did as well?
Yeah, that was it. I recently bought a house, so I haven't had much to put on the walls. So I kind of knocked myself up a fake moose, just to fill some wall space.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm actually very jealous because I've always wanted to be able to do art, and I keep trying. I battle through things, and I have a attempt. Last thing I tried, oh my god, it was such a failure. But I tried sketching, actual sketching, and I'd even made a grid and everything, so I could really, I really took it seriously and tried. Oh wow, total failure. But I've got a friend who does the most amazing sketching, and it looks so real. It's actually quite like, whoa. So yeah, and I have to say, I'm hoping at some point he's going to send me back a picture of my dogs, because I did send them to him long ago, and I was like, if you could, that would be amazing. Because yeah, art is just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, well done you. And yeah, one day hopefully I can be able to draw. I'm going to try and suck your aura out of you while we chat. See what I can pull off.
So the funny thing is, a load of people from work, so clients from work, have found out that I do, and then I kind of end up painting patients that I work on at work, which is a strange combination. When you kind of start painting them in your free time and chopping them up in your daytime.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that's actually quite cool, because you can do some really nice eye pictures to try and, work in your ophthalmology side. But yeah, you don't want to get too up and nitty gritty with the, post-op surgery photos. But that could lead to some very interesting artwork there, right? I have to say, it's yeah, I bet your brain's an interesting place to go. That's very cool. That is very cool. So what made you decide to be a vet? I mean, I'm getting you clearly always wanted to be a vet.
Yeah, so I think I did the standard kind of child thing of saying I wanted to be a vet, and then probably was just a little bit too stubborn. And the more people kept telling me that it was hard work, and you really got to work hard to get there, the more I sat down and worked hard to get there. And yeah, I think I always thought I'd go into equine, and I thought I'd be a horse vet. But I ended up being offered a maternity cover role at Castle while I was there on a work experience placement. And thought, oh yeah, nice temporary kind of startup job, close to home, nice and supportive, lovely team. And then I stayed, and I loved it, and I wouldn't look back now. I wouldn't dream of going into equine. It's kind of been a really good job, and what I really like doing.
Oh, that's really perfect. And actually, because you've got your own horses, it's not like you haven't got a big background of understanding what equine vetting would have been. And yeah, it's a lot warmer in the Smalley practice, right?
Well, most of the time. But also, like, you get to do a lot more surgery. And I think working with horses during the day, I wouldn't go home and want to work, enjoy them in my free time. So I think it still gives me a hobby that's separate from work.
It's a very different type of veterinary, isn't it? Very different. Oh, that's fantastic. So Brian has jumped on and said, looks amazing. And I'm pretty sure that is over your artwork. So yes, so thank you so much for saying that, Brian. Really appreciate it. So what's your favourite part of being a vet?
So really, other than eyes, which we've kind of brushed on already, I'm never happier than when I'm in theatre. So when I'm doing surgery and operating, it's kind of my happy place. Is where I kind of thrive and enjoy what I'm doing the most. Other than that, I'd have to say it's kind of developing the relationship with the clients. I think there's nothing nicer than seeing them the whole way through, and seeing the animals as they age and as they kind of develop and improve, and kind of developing that relationship ongoing with the clients as well.
Well, I definitely love hearing you say that. And, because I can completely agree. I think it's really important that we develop relationships with the patients, and keep going with them all their lives. And it's nothing nicer than hearing a client say, oh, I've used that vet for the last 10, 15 years. And you think, oh, that's really lovely. And yeah, that's an amazing thought. And I actually had a client the other day saying that they had the same vet for 30 years. And I was like, amazing. Yeah. I'm impressed that vet, because I knew who it was as well. And I was like, how are they not retired? So yeah, that's amazing. And I just want to point out to our audience as well that Katy was nominated to join us on here by multiple people who wanted to have her interviewed and find out more about her. So yes, we've got Ellie's mum. Hopefully she's watching. Hi, Ellie's mum, if you're watching. And Crystal, who was a vet who used to work with you, obviously she also nominated you after she came on the show as well. So you do leave a good trail of fans, which is wonderful.
Crystal's always like throwing me in the deep end.
Yeah. If you guys watching are any fans of Katy and have any stories you want to share about her, please do. That would be awesome. And yeah, go on, especially the nitty gritty ones. They're great. And yeah, that's really lovely to hear about the surgery side of things as well, because actually quite a lot of GP vets quite like the consulting side and not necessarily loving the surgery side. So that's quite nice to hear about, because it's, you know, it's quite a scary bit as well. It's quite a lot of pressure, but you're obviously quite good under pressure.
Well, I quite enjoy it, and I think you probably remember David, who was one of the partners at Castle. I was lucky enough to start, and kind of he took me under his wing a little bit and taught me a lot of surgeries, and I think he was a brilliant person to learn from, and kind of he was nothing but supportive, and I think that really helped, and it's given me a lot of confidence to kind of do what we can for our patients, and kind of within the remit of what we should be doing. You know, there's always referral out there, but for clients that can't afford it, someone's got to try for them, you know, and I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic. And yeah, it's great that you've had David as your mentor, because yeah, he was at Castle forever as well, wasn't he? So yeah, and he had to retire and go off to pastures better and greener. And so you're the next generation along, which is absolutely amazing. And yeah, there's definitely lots of things that you need to be able to do as well. And it's not necessarily a case of not being able to go to referral. Sometimes things are emergencies. You have to just get in there. You don't have time for going anywhere else. So that's amazing. So you obviously said you've got 4 horses. Do you have any other pets as well, or just those guys keeping you busy?
So I've basically got a collection of aging animals. So I've kind of worked my way up over the years from kind of fish, hamsters, guinea pigs, and now I'm left with kind of 4 ancient horses, and a 15-year-old dog.
Oh, we both got the 15-year-old dog club. Yeah. It's impressive, isn't it? They're hard work, but you love them to bits, but you're just always like, oh, my dog's so old.
And they don't want to look after themselves either. He doesn't know how old he is. He still thinks he's kind of 4 and can run around and do whatever he wants and chase the fox down the garden and things like that. And it doesn't always end well.
No, my dog has got to the stage where he very much has the life of Riley, and he absolutely knows it. Yeah. So he has got to the stage where he will bark for you to come and get him, and you go into the room and say, "What do you want?" And then he goes, "Well, I was hoping you would stand me up, but fine, I'll do it myself." Because obviously I won't stand him up unless he's really struggling, because he is starting to, you know, struggle, and he falls over a bit and things. But he desperately will just bark until you're in the room with him to watch him do whatever it is that he wants to do. And he barks at his food bowl all the time, because he's like, you need to put some food in it. And now he's got to the stage where we feed him probably about 4 to 6 times a day. So he has lots of little meals, because that keeps him happy. And yeah, blimey, the stuff that old dogs get, it's incredible. And he now has a buggy for going out and about as well, because he's so slow. Which is wonderful. Like he keeps going, like he'd go for a decent walk, but he's just really slow. So I like to get him to the park, so then he can have a good walk around there. So he has the buggy to the park. And if I'm on the school run, there's no way I can do that fast enough with him. So he has to get the buggy all the way there. So yeah, you just put such them on such pedestals at that age, don't you? And I think it's really lovely. So yeah,
it's interesting for them as well. You know, like taking him out in the buggy will stimulate him mentally, and then he won't need to do quite so much in terms of exercise to be tired and, you know, sort himself out again.
Oh, absolutely. And come 8 o'clock in the evening, he's barking at us to go to bed as well. So very demanding, very demanding. But yeah, it's lovely. So Chloe Grabble, I hope that's pronounced right. She's jumped on and said, "I've worked with Katy for years and trust her entirely with all my animals. She has also created a portrait of our little Margie. Oh, how sweet. She is a wonderful human and vet. She is also a mini David, leaving us as much mess behind her that we have to tidy up." Oh, Chloe, are you a nurse?
Chloe's one of our nurses. Well, she actually, today was her last day at Castle.
Oh, bye, Chloe.
I missed it. So it's lovely to hear from her. But yes, I did leave yesterday at about 4 o'clock, and I left at about 6 o'clock. I should have left at 4 o'clock, and I think I left an absolute bomb site behind me in theatre. So I think that might be what she's referring to.
Quite probably, and I suspect there's a whole heap of times you haven't even noticed that you've left it behind. Unfortunately, that's what us nurses moan about. It's fine. Chloe, thank you so much for jumping on and saying that, and that's really kind of you to say. And at the end of the day, all can be forgiven, Katy, when you are kind and lovely as a human and a vet. So nobody minds.
One of Davidisms used to be leaving cupboard doors open, so you'd go and rummage and look through all the cupboards, and then just leave. And I think I have taken that on as well.
Oh, I have to say, yes, that I would be pretty annoyed as your nurse about that one too, because also you bonk your head on the open doors, and yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm definitely going to stick up for the nurses on that one. You have got to just break that habit, okay?
They're trying.
I think I heard something like you have to do a habit 63 times for it to become a habit. So, just make sure you're shutting those doors enough times. So only 63, and then you won't do it anymore, okay? Hey, Chloe, I'm trying to fix the problem. But you're leaving now, so, we'll just fix Katy's problems for the next team of nurses. So, what part of being a vet still turns your stomach and grosses you out? There's got to be something.
So this was a really hard one. So I kind of, there's not a lot that really gets me. I'd say there's a couple of cases that we've had, when dogs have eaten things that they shouldn't have done and we make them sick. That's pretty gross, particularly when it smells like Thornton's or.
Oh, I agree. That's my worst one as well. Chocolate vomit.
Yeah. It kind of makes you hungry, but you feel sick at the same time.
Very complicated, that, wasn't it? And especially at Christmas when it's all sort of decorated with bits of beautiful foil and it looks like a bauble.
But yeah, so there's kind of that, and then the only other thing I could think of, which, because I'm not really kind of freaked out by eyeballs or broken legs or anything like that, but dog food really still quite gets me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah. Just wet dog food.
It's got a distinct smell. It has got a distinct smell, and but yeah, they do vary. I can definitely understand with some of them. Some of them smell oddly nice, and that freaks me out more. I'm like, I'm appealed by this. This is not right. So yeah, understandable. So Chloe says I am, which means I suspect is to do with yesterday's leaving it all in a tip on that particular occasion. So she's heard you, Chloe. She's heard you. So if you had all the time in the world, all the finance in the world, and nothing was in your way, what would your dream goal be?
So I think, there's kind of two main things that I'm kind of fighting over at the moment in terms of what I would like to do one day. One is kind of setting up a practice just to do eyes, and that's a long-term future goal. Don't get worried. But yeah, it would be kind of to do eyes and to operate on eyes all day, every day. But then the other thing is, one of my best friends from university is he's gone off and started a charity in the Galapagos.
Wow.
And he's kind of being a vet out there. So I think that's pretty impressive. And if nothing was an option, if nothing was a problem, I would probably say I'd go out and join him and kind of work for him for a year, or get some help on the ground for him.
Oh, that's amazing. And no, both of those are pretty achievable, to be honest. There's nothing particularly running to the Mars or the moon on that. So I think, it sounds like you're a very real person. You're like, no, what can I actually do? So that's quite impressive, because you could easily take a year out and, go and do your Galapagos dream and then come back. That's okay. And then the eyeballs thing, although it's not necessarily your own practice, you could be the eyeball girl at Castle. That would be pretty cool.
If I kind of continue, so I should finish my certificate next year. So if I can get that all sorted, then it opens up a bit more of a door and that side of things.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, and definitely really good to have your own thing as well. I totally agree with that, and I think it's actually I don't know how many eye specialists there are around here. I think you've got to go quite far south to get to the nearest person, haven't you?
They're cropping up. They're becoming more and more kind of popular around. But then I think, particularly at Castle, we've got quite a good mixed team of everyone's got their little niches. And I think that's a really nice place to be in, where, the whole team of vets and nurses, you know, everyone has their little things that get them excited and kind of they know more on, so that we can give more back to the client on that. So kind of various vets, like, you know, eyes, surgery, hearts, you know, everyone's got their little niche that we can kind of provide a better service on.
That's really good. If anyone's watching and wants to ask questions about eyes, please do, because I am sure there's tons of people out there wondering whether dogs can have contact lenses, and, you know, what in the world you actually do with eyes. And, you know, it is an ever changing and ever evolving updated area, I would say, because historically not a lot's ever been done with an eyes other than taking them out. If they don't work, get it out. But, you know, I know that a lot's changed over the years, hasn't it? It's a pretty upcoming field. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so contact lenses is something that we do. So we actually use them as kind of bandages rather than to correct sight, because it's very hard to get a dog to do an eye test. But yeah, so we do use those quite routinely, and I think most clients, when I suggest them, are always slightly put off and think I've gone slightly crazy and lost the plot. But I think eyes is an area that a lot of vets don't want to know about. You know, they'll know the basics and then be keen to refer, and I think it's always something that, if we can offer it, it's nice to be able to offer it in-house.
Oh, definitely, because it's really sore when you have a painful eye. It's just, it's sore, isn't it? It is for us. It's something we can all personally relate to as well, because who hasn't had something in your eye before? And the tiniest little hair is a big problem. So, you know, it's just, yeah, that's mad. And, you know, we've all had a bit of conjunctivitis in the past, and that's bad enough. It's, you know, so yeah, that's really lovely to hear. And good luck with your certificate. I hope it goes well. And yeah, it's going to be a flourishing thing for you. That's amazing. So if you could do a Facebook Live with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
So I think most people's answer is David Attenborough, isn't it? But I'll try and think of something a bit more original.
It's okay to say that. He is amazing, and that should be acknowledged.
He is amazing. But for the sake of not repeating maybe every person you've ever had on,
diversity, yep.
I think so. There's kind of probably two main people that kind of stand out in my mind. So one would be the Prime Minister of New Zealand, because I think she's an incredibly strong woman leader. And I think
yeah, girl power.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's young, she's pushed boundaries, and I think that's kind of a really inspiring person to talk to. Something that I kind of would love to take even one leaf out of her book, and kind of have a chat with her. And the other is probably David Shepherd, who was a kind of a big wildlife artist, who had a strong focus in conservation as well, which is kind of something that I feel quite strongly about.
Oh, that's really cool. And yeah, conservation is a huge topic, isn't it? I would love to be involved with rewilding. I just think that's so important. It's untrue. And if I had an opportunity to do like I don't know, like a big crowdfunding, I would crowdfund for site to just rewild, and that would be that, you know, because it's hugely important. And I think if COVID hasn't taught everybody that, then nothing will. So yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And I think, you know, we're at such a point in the UK where we're losing so much, and if we don't keep it and protect it, it's, you know, parkland and kind of managed land is not the same. No,
and we have to acknowledge as well, like, I didn't realize this. I was talking to a guy, and it was at a natural history place. It was Osborne House, actually, in the Isle of Wight, and he was one of the park managers, and he said he went over to Brazil to talk about deforestation, and they said to him, well, you're a fine one to talk. You deforested your country years ago, and now you're having a go at us. And I was like, whoa. And he was like, oh my God, that's such a good point. But he hadn't really acknowledged that. So, you know, we've done devastating things to our country, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's a problem for everybody else to do the same. Of course it is. But it was also a problem that we've done it, and we've got to now undo it. So there's been some interesting documentaries about it and stuff as well. So yeah, it's a really fascinating subject. And yeah, it would have been really weird living in a forest years ago, like when it actually was like that. I do sometimes walk through forests and think, imagine living in here? That'd be weird.
Some lynx wandering around rather than, you know, your average tabby cat.
Yeah, exactly. So Gemma Holland has jumped on. I don't know if you know her, because I definitely don't get this question. How many teeny weeny babies is too many teeny weeny babies for a respectable adult? Is that something you can answer? I feel like that's an in-joke.
I have no idea. Gemma used to be one of the nurses at Castle, and she then moved off to work in referral, and she has just had a baby, and I'm wondering if she's trying to tell me she's having another one.
Ah, that'll be it. Or try and decide whether or not to have another one. I can completely understand the context of that comment now, Gemma. That makes a lot more sense. And yeah, really tough question, that one, by the way.
Yeah, I think she needs another one though.
It's really. Oh, she says Beanie Babies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did you collect Beanie Babies?
No, so I did have a problem as a child.
Gemma, thank you so much for telling us this. So now Katy has got to spill on this. Come on.
Yeah, thanks. So I think at my parents' house there are probably about 250 Beanie Babies.
Oh my God. Okay, Katy, that is too many.
Yeah. And I think Gemma has a photo of me standing in front of them at some point. But I don't think we need to do that.
Share this photo. If you jump on, share it on the chat, and I'll have a look afterwards. Wow, I have to say that's a lot of picture in that comment now, and it's a very good question. And the respectable adult thing is very that's a very good point. And what I more want to say is I'm actually quite impressed that your parents have kept them, and they haven't gone, no, they're your problem. You've bought a house, now fill your own house up with them. My parents wouldn't have kept hold of those.
I should just say that I've only moved out 2 months ago. So
2 months is plenty of time to move those Beanie Bears.
Not when there's that many.
Removal vans will do it in a day, I promise.
We don't need to suggest that.
Sorry, if Katy's parents are watching, she does not want them at her house. She recognises that she has a problem, but she doesn't know how to fix it.
It's a problem that's no longer my problem.
Well, at least if you won't get rid of them, you know, but, you know, donate them. There'll be lots of children out there wanting them for Christmas. There you go.
Someone once told me that one day they'd be worth a lot of money, and the trouble is a lot of them, I think, mum bought as knockoffs. So I don't think they're actually worth that much.
Exactly. And I think half the time you think things are going to be worth something and then they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a cash in the attic person, but I wish I was. But I suspect I feel like I'd be the person that turned up going, ooh, oh, it's 50p. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Gemma, that was great. Thank you so much for popping on and enlightening us there. If anyone else has got any very cool things to tell us about Katy, I would be very grateful to hear. It's really important that we learn that our vets are actually humans as well. And they are. So it's lovely. It's all good. It's all good. So tell us a bit, spit it out, sorry. Tell us something that nobody knows about you, other than the Beanie Babies thing, which is now been spilled.
Gemma's gone and spilled that one. There's not that much. I guess one fun fact is, so I was on a vet placement in South Africa for a while, and there's actually a photo of me being slightly mauled by a pet tiger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Something I agree with, owning pet tigers.
I understand.
I could say that, but yeah, we were out visiting, and it kind of took me to the floor and bit my neck.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Wow. And exactly why people don't have pet tigers, for one of many reasons. Oh my God, you must have been terrified. Were you okay?
Yeah, and the most important thing is someone got a picture of it.
Well, yes, I mean, you do need that evidence to prove that you were hardcore.
No, I was absolutely fine. My t-shirt got shredded all that because it clawed my back, and so my t-shirt got shredded, and I had a big kind of tooth mark in a line down my neck, but that was it. It could have been a lot worse.
That most definitely could have been a lot worse. And needless to say that you are now fine with whatever a domestic cat can throw at you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow, that's really scary. You poor thing. I can't believe that. I'm a bit knocked for that one. That was a good one to tell us.
So,
Wow. You're like Superwoman Katy now. Tiger wrestler. Wow, that's insane. I would have just cried. I mean, I can understand it would have been sort of one of those weird, surreal moments, but yeah,
and something that only felt okay in that situation.
of course. Yeah, yeah. How bizarre. Wow. Well, yep, you've definitely, I think you've won the nugget on that one. That's amazing. So what's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
Agreeing to do this.
Well done.
So I guess when I was at uni, I finished my fourth year exams, which were kind of quite a big deal, and trundled off to the hairdressers and agreed to have 12 inches of hair cut off and donated to charity.
Oh, well done. That's lovely.
So two of my friends chopped half of it off each side, and one chopped up here and one chopped down here, which was a lovely experience.
That's brilliant. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, that is really nice. It's really important that hair can go off to where it needs to go and do all these things. That's really lovely. And a great celebration for your exams.
Yeah, well, it's something to do. No, so yeah, they went off to the Little Princess Trust, which is a charity that make wigs for children with cancer.
Oh, that's really lovely. Oh, well done you. That's really good. So tell us a bit more about your practice and you know what wonderful skill sets or amazing people that you work with. What do you
Yeah,
want to tell us about it?
so Castle's had a bit of a change up recently. So kind of quite a few, the long-standing members have gone off to pastures new and retired and things. So we're now kind of mainly headed by Alice, who is our clinical director, but she is currently off on maternity. So it's myself and Claire, who's been there a very long time. Claire's a fabulous vet who is so thorough in what she does and so current and up to date. And she's a dream to work with. She really is.
Like Claire Heaver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. I've known her for years. Blimey.
She's brilliant. So we've got Claire, we've got Miranda, who's been there a long time as well.
Yes.
We've kind of got a few new faces to join the team. So some kind of young, forward-thinking, kind of fresh ideas, vets that we've kind of joined. So we've got currently Lucy and Alicia, and then we've got a couple, we're expanding as well. So we've got a couple of new faces joining the team over the next couple of months. And then we're lucky enough as well to work with Hannes Bergman, who is an amazing specialist. For anyone who's had their dog or cat referred to him, I think they'll agree he is wholeheartedly one of the best vets. He's kind of a European diplomat in soft tissue and orthopedic surgery, and he comes to us every Tuesday. And I think he's a real asset to our team, and he's a dream to work with. As long as you keep him topped up on tea, he is always happy to help you. And I think that's a really great thing we've got at Castle, is having that backup knowledge that he can offer, and also being able to refer some of those things in-house and keep them nice and local.
Oh, that's lovely. That's absolutely wonderful. And so my next question I wanted to ask is, what do you love about physio?
Yeah, so I think the main thing for me is, because obviously I see the patients for their follow-up checks in between. So for me, it's getting that and seeing that improvement over time. You send off a patient that's struggling and not quite right, and for a variety of reasons. And you get your reports back, and you see the progress they're making kind of on paper, and then they come back in, and the difference is incredible. And I think on top of the clinical improvement, one of the main things I like is actually how you see the bond develop between the patient and their owner. So I think physio only brings that bond stronger, and they start to pick up and notice so many more things that they wouldn't necessarily notice before. And I think the homework they get from you as well is kind of testament to that, because it gets them going, it gets them excited, and it gets them pushing forwards on the big picture and what they can do for their pets in all situations.
That's really lovely. Thank you so much. That's really wonderful way that you've put that as well, because actually that's something I didn't even think about. I mean, I know how much the bond is incredible between an owner and their dog, or whatever pet they've got. But of course, didn't even think about the fact that obviously physio enhances that bond even further. I mean, I know when I teach massage, I say that bond gets closer, but never really sort of think about it as the broad picture of the whole of physio, which is quite interesting, really. So well done picking up on that. That's really nice, and it's really lovely that you've got such a positive view to say on it as well, which is really lovely. Because I mean, obviously I've been doing your guys' physio for many years now, but yeah, it's a shame that you're in Reading. Really, it's a bit of a distance, but not too bad, not too bad. So yeah, that's really lovely, thank you. And it just ties together quite nicely, because obviously you've got Hannah's doing his orthopedics, and then physio obviously enhances for that as well, which is lovely. So you've got a nice little packet of everything you need there, haven't you? It's lovely.
And there's only so much, you can fix a joint, you can do a TPLO or a TTA and correct the mechanical problem, but it takes so much more than that to build the muscle back and to get that animal functioning as they should be, and kind of enjoying life again.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I know you don't want this question, but I'm asking you anyway. What's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
I just don't know. Other than kind of having a lot of work-based dreams, which is probably not a good thing to say.
I think it's quite normal.
Yeah. Those Sunday night terrors. I think being a vet, you can really have some strange dreams that probably aren't worth sharing.
That's fair enough, but I wanted to ask you it publicly just in case it pushed you over the edge to make sure you answered something, because it's always nice to hear. But that's fair enough. And sometimes dreams are just so boring anyway. I swear I've just been affected by the fact that so many people have moved houses lately. I had a dream the other day about moving house. I mean, what? How ridiculous is that? I'm perfectly happy in my home. But so many of my friends have upped sticks and gone. And one of my friends particularly, she's another physio that was relatively local, and she qualified. She moved up north. She literally just sold up. Her and her mum just went together, and oh my goodness me, what they've bought is just like whoa. And because they've got loads of land, and it's just all beautiful. And I said, oh God, she's so lucky. And but yeah, I wonder if, having spoken to her, that was what triggered that one off. So I was like having my moment of, I want my house in the country. But anyway, fair enough. No weird dreams that you're prepared to tell us about. So we'll just make up our own thoughts there. That's fine. So if you could treat any type of animal in the world, what would it be?
I think I'd have to say giraffe.
Oh, cool.
They are my all-time favorite. I could watch them all day, every day for hours.
They are cool.
Yeah, they're just amazing, and they have kind of lots of quirks that I think would be quite interesting to treat, and kind of challenges of how you get up to look in those eyes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think they've got cool platforms actually in the zoos, but that is very cool. That is very cool. What is the coolest animal that you've ever treated?
Well, so I did a placement whilst I was at uni at a zoo in Devon. So I got to treat giraffe and lions and all sorts. So yeah, that's probably one of the coolest things we've done. So doing kind of anaesthetics on a gorilla to do chest X-rays, it's stuff you don't forget. Being that up close and personal.
I imagine, yeah, that must have been absolutely awesome. Like, literally awestruck moment. You were like, whoa, that's amazing. Yeah, what a great placement to have got, and a great experience, and opens your eyes, that type of thing, doesn't it? So
and just you get to see a whole different way of how zoos run, and kind of the back what goes on behind the scenes as to kind of why they're important and what they can bring to us.
Yeah, it's actually a really, really huge conversation. I mean, back before I even started out my veterinary career, I did animal care, and I learned so much about the background of zoos and the complexity of zoos. It's not a simple conversation at all, is it? It's very, very complicated, but yeah, very amazing. And especially what some of them do, amazing. So, what's been the most memorable part of your career so far?
So this was a really tough one. So I think there's lots of kind of big surgeries that stand out as kind of being special and exciting. And I think probably the case that will stay with me forever is a case that was really close to my heart. So I was actually scrubbed in with David on placement, and it was the first cesarean I was involved in.
Oh, yeah.
So we delivered 11 St Bernard puppies.
Wow.
And then when I started at Castle as a vet, in walked in one of them through the door with an adder bite to his foot.
Oh, no.
And actually half his foot sloughed off. And we were left with a huge wound to treat and deal with. And I think we the owner, everyone at Castle, all worked tirelessly to kind of get him fixed. And I think we all felt so passionately as kind of what was a fight that we were going against. And there were many times that we thought, actually, it's not fair. We can't. He's never going to come right. But we all kept fighting, and he was brilliant. He was comfortable. He would let us do absolutely anything to him. And I think treating him the whole way through. I think it was probably about 6 months until he was healed, and we had to amputate a toe. But I think being involved in his life from the very beginning, seeing him kind of develop and have a big issue, and then unfortunately we lost him last year for unrelated reasons, but it was kind of, I think he will be the case that stays with me forever.
I can see exactly why. There's literally no way that can not stay with you. I mean, to be there from day one, I mean, those cesareans are intense, aren't they? And you feel like it's your baby when that happens, doesn't it? And then later on to go through something so dramatic as that, to only lose one toe is really quite amazing, actually. So yeah, congratulations, well done, because wound care is intense, and especially when you've had a toxin like that involved, it's awful. So
it's also rewarding. Wound care is something that, when you get it right, is such a rewarding thing to kind of work with, because you really see that improvement time on time, and you develop. You see the clients again and again and again, and it's kind of a nice area you can both see improvement and both work harder.
The funny thing about the wound care, I always feel, is because I see this sound terrible, but it's almost like opening a present at Christmas every single time. But you have to, it literally comes in wrapped up because it's still got the bandage on, and then you go like, oh God, how's it gonna look? How's it gonna look? How's it gonna look? And then you reveal, and then you're like, oh. And you want to be like, yay, but you can never be quite yay because it's never actually fixed, and it always looks disgusting, and you have to clean it up. But every time in your head you're like built up to this massive place, and this whole big reveal has to happen. And so it's a funny thing, isn't it, wound care? It really is an odd mindset. And but when they come good in the end, you have to take photos as well, don't you? Because day one, you can never remember day one. You always end up remembering just the last one you've seen, and then it isn't until you look back on the photos that you go, oh yeah, oh blimey, wow. And I always think it's like weight loss. You don't really remember all the stages before. You remember just the one just before. And and like when people get older, you don't, but you see, it's hard to remember how somebody looked years ago. You just remember how you last see them. It's funny old thing, that, isn't it? So yeah, amazing. What a great story. That's fantastic.
A special client.
Yeah, definitely. Well, may you have many more like that. Obviously not,
hopefully
to have good end results, but what I mean is, following through their whole journey of life is absolutely amazing. And I have no doubt that client, you've left a lasting impression in their brain forever that's never going to be forgotten either. So that's quite an amazing place for you to be as well. So thank you so much, Katy. It's been amazing chatting. And what I really want to get from you now as well is your top tip for pain.
So I think, the kind of the main thing, and it sounds silly, but recognizing it in the first place. I think so many people come in and go, oh, and you look at the dog and you go, or the cat, and you go, how's it going? How's mobility? And they go, oh, all fine, but he's getting old. And you think, actually, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to be painful. We don't do that with people. We don't say that's okay. So let's be proactive and let's address those issues before they become too much of a problem. I think that's my biggest thing is catching it early, getting on board and looking at the whole picture. So not just saying, have some pain relief, hide the problem. Let's say, right, have some pain relief, make them comfortable, but let's work on what we can do to make that improve for the future and to not let them be in pain for the future and kind of slow down how that progression, if it's arthritis, is going to hit them. And I think, it's really looking at the whole picture. So including physio, including holistic methods, changes at home, looking at their routine and kind of changing as much as we can to make that improve for the patient, really.
Definitely. That's an excellent point you raise, and it's absolutely right. And there's a sort of two-prong attack here as well, because it's one, actually being able to recognize the pain and what it looks like, because it is different as well. Every single patient will be slightly different. No two will look the same in their presentation with pain. So you can't go, oh, that's happened, therefore that's pain. It's so much more complicated. But the other prong of that is also being able to accept it as an owner, because it is really scary. It's really scary to admit that they're getting old, and that they might be in pain, especially if owners think, because this is what I often find, is that they think there's nothing that can be done, so therefore they don't go to the vet because they don't want to talk about it, because, well, what's the point? So it's a great time to say, please go to the vet, because there's so much we can do, and don't also be scared that it's going to be drugs, because as Hannah Capon always says, I love this quote, rugs before drugs. And it's so true. There's so many things you can do just to make changes around the home, or just your lifestyle and all sorts of things that will end up making life so much better. But it doesn't have to be scary, but you add years to your life if you can address it early and then not get to those bad points that then require the drugs. And obviously, the drugs are going to come, but we'll worry about that later. So yeah, it's such a good point that you raised, is definitely recognizing it and not being scared of it, and go and have the chat, because we're all there to try and help. And there's so much you can do, isn't there?
I think it's finding a vet and a practice as well that work with you. Everyone's got different ideas, everyone's got different preferences. Talk to your vet, as you say, your vet's a human being as well, and let's talk to them about what you want to achieve, and they will work with you to achieve that, and to kind of to nip things in the bud before they become a problem. We're not always going to say, oh, it's too late, we need to talk about euthanasia. It's about going back 3 years and looking at kind of when we can start that change to make them more comfortable.
Exactly, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Katy. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and learn more about you. And you are very cool. And I really like how you are, how your ethos is, and your artwork. It's very awesome. So I want to thank all my wonderful audience for joining in and for watching. And you guys all have a great evening. And Amanda has just jumped on and said, Katy is fab. Thank you so much for saying that, Amanda. She would be thrilled to hear. So thank you so much. You take care, and I will see everybody again in 2 weeks' time for our next cup of tea with a vet. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.